And for me it means welcome to the boxing business, because all big champions was losing the fights, and so it's happening. And of course I will give my best, and I will have a rematch with Corrie Sanders, and then I will show.
Great fights happen when there's a lot of drama in the ring and words of respect are heard after the fight. These are the moments that are remembered and forever remain in the history of boxing. The confrontation between Corrie Sanders and the Klitschko brothers is a prime example of courage in the ring and respect outside of it. It became one of the most exciting events in modern boxing history, although it all started quite calmly and casually. Corrie was born in South Africa. From early childhood, the boy gravitated toward sports. His father, a former professional boxer, gave his son the right to choose what sport he would like to play. Sanders tried his hand at football, tennis, and golf, but in the end it became obvious that boxing was in his blood, and the young man completely focused on the art of punching. The results were not long in coming. He won every possible local tournament in Africa. But in those years in Africa, fighters did not have access to international competitions. Corrie got married and started a family, and financial matters came to the fore. He worked as a police officer at a local station, where he received good money, but the quiet and calm life of a family man did not attract Sanders. He dreamed of fame. In 1989, he made his professional debut. The first successes in the South African rings allowed him to demonstrate his skills in Africa. Although these fights were not very profitable, Corrie knew that they would allow him to hone his skills, and the victories would lead him to bigger fights, and where there are big fights, there are always sponsors and substantial fees. Sanders' signature shot was a powerful left hand. It is very rare to find a left-handed boxer among heavyweights.
Never slow to cash in on an opportunity.
In 1993, Corrie repeated the success of Michael Moorer and knocked out Bert Cooper in the third round.
If he walks in here, he's going to taste a little, and he's working good to the body underneath this Corrie Sanders.
Oh, good leg hand to work, and here they come. Sanders pounding away on Cooper. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect in this fight. Cooper's been down once.
Cooper, that's it.
Cooper, I think he's saying that's enough.
It. The fight's
it's over.
In 2000, Corrie lost in a fight against Hassim Rahman.
Some body punching now. Oh, set up. They made it miss. They made it miss. Right. This is just going to be an old-fashioned slugfest from here on in. Everybody's looking in.
After that, he rarely entered the ring, and for the next 3 years he fought only twice, but fate decided to give him another chance. 27-year-old WBO world champion Wladimir Klitschko was just in search of an opponent. He and his coach decided to make a 6th defense of the belt and then take a break before possible bigger fights in the future. Their choice fell on 37-year-old Corrie Sanders, who was ranked 9th in the WBO rankings. It was a typical situation, a young champion against a veteran who had already faded into the shadows. 99% of such confrontations usually ended in favor of youth, but this case was an exception, which makes boxing such an interesting sport. Wladimir was a rising superstar, Olympic champion, professional world champion. He stumbled only once in a fight against Ross Purity, and then most boxing experts attributed this defeat as another inexperience of the Ukrainian. Klitschko literally crushed the entire old guard in the heavyweight division. Chris Bird, Axel Schultz, Francois Botha, Ray Mercer, Jamil McLean, they were all forced to capitulate under the onslaught of the fierce attacks of the Ukrainian heavyweight. Before the fight with Sanders, Wladimir signed an exclusive contract for 9 fights with HBO. The fights of Klitschko Jr. against Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis were discussed. His brother Vitali was number 1 in the WBC ratings. The brothers' plan was incredibly simple: to win all the leading titles in the heavyweight division. In 2000, Vitali lost in the 9th round against Chris Bird. He suffered an injury to his left shoulder and was forced to withdraw from the fight.
мировом боксе в супертяжелом дивизию.
After 6 months, Wladimir avenged his brother by beating the American and returned the WBO championship belt to the Klitschko family. And who would have thought that after March 8, 2003, the older brother would have to stand up for the younger?
Jetzt also die letzte mental so wichtige Bedeutung. Hatte man es auch vermutet?
Sanders, despite long breaks and numerous injuries, entered the fight in excellent shape. The spectators of the fight in Hanover were waiting for the spectacle, and they got it.
Gute Linke von gute Rechte. Und Vorsicht, die erste Linke im Ziel auf den Schlagabtausch.
Already in the first round, the Ukrainian champion was twice on the floor from crushing left blows.
Sollte sich auf so einen Schlagabtausch nicht einlassen. Zu gefährlich. Klitschko. Die Linke voll im Ziel. Ist weiß im Gesicht. Ich glaube, das könnte sein. Zum zweiten Mal. Ende. Klitschko. Denn der Gong kommt zum richtigen Zeitpunkt.
At the beginning of the second round, there was another knockdown and the fight was stopped. Sanders fulfilled his dream of becoming the new world heavyweight champion and the third left-handed boxer in history to win the most prestigious award in this weight class, following in the footsteps of Michael Moorer and Chris Bird. Vitali was beside himself with rage watching the defeat of his younger brother. After giving a heated speech after the fight, he promised to return the title to the family. Despite this, Sanders was calm because the victory over Wladimir opened the way for him to box office fights against the best boxers in the world. The mandatory contender for the WBO title was Lamont Brewster, while Corrie wanted a super fight against David Tua, but his plans were not destined to come true. Shortly before the fight with Klitschko, Sanders signed a contract with the German promotion company Universum, and former manager Corrie had other plans. Realizing the benefits, he renewed friendly relations with the former ward and promised the champion that he would organize a super fight against Tua. This led to conflict between the WBO and Universum, and a long legal battle began. Time passed and the triumph of Sanderson began to slowly be forgotten. The promoter who made these disputes turned his back on his ward. Sanders pulled out of the fight against Lamont Brewster and Freeze Oquendo. He was stripped of his WBO title due to a lengthy downtime. It seemed like he would never be able to step into the ring again.
Of the Eagles Hotel, California. Punch that changed that round. See if we can catch the punch right there, right there. Jabbing the eye. Beginning to regain some. Lewis is there for him.
In the summer of 2003, Vitali was defeated in a scandalous fight against Lennox Lewis. Lennox planned a rematch, but even before it became possible, he ended his sports career. The fight was stopped due to damage to Vitali Klitschko's eye. Klitschko Sr. remained number 1 in the WBC rankings. Corrie was in limbo, stripped of his title, dropped by his promoter, and sued by Universum kept him out of the ring. Oddly enough, but after the end of his boxing career, Lennox Lewis becomes a promoter and comes to the rescue of an African. Lewis and his British lawyers solved Sanders' problems. Lewis made sure that Corrie was included in the list of former WBO champions. At the same time, the WBC was looking for an opponent for Vitali Klitschko. The most suitable candidate was the third fighter in the ranking, John Ruiz, but Sanders surpassed everyone and became the second in the list, which means the main competitor of the Ukrainians in the fight for the vacant belt. As a result, all these difficulties outside the ring allowed Klitschko Sr. to avenge his younger brother.
So I say to you, gentlemen, Let the next era begin.
The World Boxing Council scheduled a fight for the vacant WBC title on April 24, 2004. The audience booed mercilessly Lennox Lewis, who showed up at the Staples Center as Corrie's acting manager. Fans did not want to recognize Lewis as a champion or a promoter and were ready to tear the former champion to pieces. And the fact that he avoided a rematch with Vitali further exacerbated the public's negative attitude towards Corrie Sanders. Lennox, as always, was arrogantly calm and smiling. He had no doubts about his new ward.
A lot of positive things and promoting Corrie Sanders for the next heavyweight championship fight. Corrie Sanders is definitely the next man in line to box Vitali Klitschko, so I'm here to show the world that he's the next man in line and he deserves an opportunity.
Boxing experts were at a loss as to how the fight would go. Both fighters hit like a cannon. On the one hand, Vitali has a stronger chin than his younger brother had then. On the other hand, nothing has changed for Corrie. The brothers were the same size and boxed in the same style. It was important for Vitali to survive the dangerous early rounds, and he did it, trying to survive in what was probably the toughest round of his entire career.
Vitali reaching across the top with the left. Klitschko coming back with a left of his own. Sanders hasn't landed to the degree that he did a year ago in Germany against Wladimir. Maybe already he feels like this is a different thing, but Sanders lands a left.
Klitschko's and how Vitali is more defensive when
There's a big left hand from Sanders, and Vitali Klitschko took it pretty well and comes back with a right of his own. Takes another left. The thunder has begun.
Larry Merchant, millions of spectators in the entire Staples Center were dumbfounded by the power and tenacity of the African, who sent Vitali Klitschko to the floor.
Hold on as Sanders tries to follow up. 10 seconds to go in the round. And it's not going to be called a knockdown.
It was a knockdown, but the referee considered that the Ukrainian had slipped.
hand by Sanders. There's nothing.
Sanders will
Klitschko understood that it was necessary to exhaust the opponent so that he began to miss. A dangerous game has begun.
Fight is not the first.
He's walking flat-footed. And we're only midway through round two. Body shot, but he could be getting ready to lash out with one of those. Sanders backing Vitali off. Vitali goes back up. Straight right hand by Vitali.
Corrie gave his all. He bet on an early knockout and did not expect that he would have to work with the same strength in the later rounds.
Just waiting for the home run that he is doing depends on one punch.
And Sanders having to... Sanders looks like the journeyman Corrie Sanders.
We've seen how Vitali Klitschko
Go in there and sell out his six-way. His brother has a tendency to...
In the third round, the next bomb from the left flew into Vitali's chin, and again the Ukrainian survived.
Big left hand from Sanders. Stuns Vitali. Klitschko backing up in trouble. Gets hit again. Last minute of the third round, Vitali Klitschko starts to hold on. Slugfest in the center of the ring. Can Sanders land another big one? Hard right hand by Vitali Klitschko.
Klitschko's stamina surprised Corrie. He was losing strength more and more. His attacks did not hit the target, and the fighter was very tired of his own mistakes. After all, it was exhausting even more than the blows received.
golfer, etc. He depends a lot on his natural ability.
It seemed that Sanders had used up his entire supply of gunpowder.
Manny Pacquiao, May 15, HBO pay-per-view. Roy Jones against Antonio Tarver. Their first fight was Corrie Sanders.
In the fifth round, Vitali went on the attack.
Something like a second wind. It appears that Vitali Klitschko could walk. It looks as though Vitali Klitschko. Good left hook around the guard. Sanders misses big.
He delivered powerful blows to the opponent, but the African's chin was in order. Corrie was ready to take a beating and was waiting for his second chance.
Sanders is hurt.
He wobbled on that one. Vitali's trying to Looks like Corrie's going to make it out of the round, but none the better for wear. Big shots down the stretch.
Vitali's heavy right punches that sent previous opponents to the floor had no effect on Sanders, but the frequency of the attacks did their devastating work.
What a comeback it would be for Sanders if he came back and won the fight after what happened in the last round. Klitschko's left eye is coming from his mouth. Another one. How much longer can Corrie Sanders take? And it's Klitschko dominating again. You can't hit Vitali. Vitali murdered him with that jab. Crowd is chanting Los Angeles. Vitali Klitschko was trying to stay out of the way and land enough combinations to wear this man down. Varieties, he goes upstairs, then back to the body. Sanders tries to...
Once a year, fights go.
Action is slow recently. They both try to get close to throw something. Now these lefts are not straight lefts, but roundhouses. And just as I say, right hand stops Sanders in his tracks. Left hook lands. Right hand lands.
One of Vitali's side kicks landed in the ear of a strong left-handed boxer. Corrie did not fall, he did not break, but the referee decided to stop the beating about the 8th round.
Here's another look at the closing action. Finally in the 8th round, Corrie Sanders' left hand was no longer really rocking Vitali Klitschko, and as Klitschko realized that Sanders had... Unbelievable show of courage by Corrie Sanders.
What keeps him up? That's it.
Finally, the referee.
Klitschko became the new WBC world champion. Corrie was fine, but after being hit in the left ear, he needed time to recover.
It took so many punches, unbelievable. Sometimes I have my pain in my right fist, and actually Corrie Sanders stay and makes a counter combination. I was surprised. It's not just my dream. It's win for two brothers Klitschko, for me and for Wladimir.
The epic confrontation between Sanders and the Klitschko brothers has come to an end. Vitali avenged his younger brother. On September 22, 2012, Corrie Sanders was shot and killed during an armed robbery at a restaurant in South Africa where his family was celebrating his nephew's birthday. He died in hospital the next morning from his wounds. The Klitschko brothers and the whole world expressed their condolences to the family of the African boxer. The Klitschko brothers are gentlemen both in and out of the ring. They always avoided skirmishes and scandals and sought to demonstrate strength only during the battle. The same can be said about Corrie Sanders. Great fights happen when there's a lot of drama in the ring and words of respect are heard after the fight. These are the moments that are remembered and forever remain in the history of boxing. The confrontation between Corrie Sanders and the Klitschko brothers is a prime example of courage in the ring and respect outside of it.